practice defines the press overhead, try not to let your back arch. I know when I first started, so maybe we cue out of that previously with our overhead squat effect. So we're looking to see at the feet, knee.
On to the We Speak series here on the NASM and AFA channels. My name is Katrina Pilkington, and I am here today to speak with one of our Optima presenters. And before I let her dive into her amazing session she has planned for the middle of October, I just want to recap on what this new series is on our social channels so that you guys can get a feel for what we're going to speak about and what this is a place to be about. So what we are about is community and culture. I'm all about being technical and having programming and teaching and instructing. But one of the things I love about this fitness industry is the community of who we bring to the table and who our leaders are that many of you may not know or know about. And especially when we're spatially distanced, right, Jackie? It's like we're together, but we're not together, but we can still stay socially connected and be spatially distant. So if you haven't signed up yet, be sure to go to nasmoptima.com. We are going to dive into some amazing sessions and content and speakers in the middle of October virtually. And I have done some virtual conferences, and I will tell you guys that you can still have CEUs, you can still have community, even in the virtual space. So one of our Optima speakers is here with us today, everyone, and her name is Jacquese Council-Silvas, and she's going to be discussing with you guys a topic about varied intensity interval training, and I'm going to let her go over the specifics of that, but I want to introduce you to her. She is someone that I met at the Fitness Fest in LA. Was it? Yes, LA. Yeah. I was like, it wasn't Phoenix. LA. It was LA. And Jackie and I connected instantly, and she took my class that I taught at the expo there. And so as we amplify voices here in this space on this series, I wanted to bring her here to speak with you guys about Mashup and the session she's doing at Optima, and then also have you learn a lot about her as a human. So welcome to our series here, Jackie.
Thank you so much, Kat. I'm so excited to be here. I appreciate this opportunity to talk about what I do and who I am. So.
And you know, Jackie and I were talking about, you know, our journey into wellness before this episode, and what I want everybody to do is to understand, like I said, we are all about programming, we're all about instructing. However, many of you know that when it comes to a class or a session, people don't just come for the topic or the skills you bring, they come for who you are as a human. And I want Jackie to be able to introduce a little bit about her human self and how she landed in the fitness industry and what led her to become an Optima presenter. So I'm just going to ask you specifically, just tell us a little bit about yourself. What landed you in wellness? How did you get into fitness? And how long have you been in the industry?
Okay, so I'm going to start with, I've been in the industry for 25 years, maybe 26 now. I lose track of time because it goes by so fast. But I've always been into fitness and athletic. I was actually a cheerleader. I don't like to say that, but I was. And I even went to college being a cheerleader for my husband. So not for my husband, but I was on basketball cheerleader, and he played basketball. And so I was always into fitness, and my husband's into fitness. So it's something that never really was something I did not do. I loved it. But what happened was I was working in the corporate world, and they built a little studio for women only to work out. And I thought, oh my gosh, no excuses across the street. Well, I at that point decided to become an instructor. I was one of their first instructors, and it was amazing. And from that first class that I took, what I loved was the community of people. I loved it. I was high on it, and I never stopped teaching. So I taught as a part-time gig. It was something that was fun. I used to say, well, if I work out, I might as well get paid for it because I loved it so much. So that was my thought process back then. And so I kept teaching just 1-2 classes here and there, and I started getting more and more into it. And then we moved to Arizona from Alaska. And I actually flew down here to sign papers. I was still in Alaska, Flew down here, found a gym that I could teach at. And I said, hey, I want to teach at your gym. And they said, yes. And so I came to Arizona and I started teaching. Again, I was still in the corporate world. So I still had my primary job, but I loved everything about this. And, oh, Denise, what is her name? I cannot remember. Oh gosh, she was a dancer and she came here and I needed CECs. And she was bigger than life. This is terrible. I can't remember her name, but she inspired me and I just kept going. I kept going and I kept getting now more involved in different formats and still in my corporate world. Now in my corporate world, then I became a teacher at one point. All through all of this, everyone knows me as that fitness girl. So I was charging people to teach them in my jobs with the teachers, everybody, wherever I went. It's like, hey guys, we got to exercise. It just lifts your spirit. It brings more to your life than just exercise. It's so much more. And I really, really loved it so much that what happened was I went to Fitness Fest. This is a true story. And actually I took about 3 years off. So I did not teach for 3 years. And then I went to Fitness Fest. I came back to teaching. It was like a whole new world. Now, from that first time I taught, I always wanted to have my own studio. So now fast forwarding to 2013, something like that, where I was getting more and more into it again. I kept even thinking about, I want to have a business. I still had my day job, but I kept getting more and more towards this feeling of, I want to have a business. I was running names with my mom. And then 2014, we had a tragedy in our family. My son passed away. So that was unexpected. And that just hit me on a whole different path with my life with regard to what am I going to do for real? And I wanted to edify my son. He knew how much I loved this. And actually, when I was on bereavement, I opened my LLC. So I actually started doing more in the fitness world. I started personal training. And from that, I was working with people individually. And from that, this world was opening up that I did not know existed. I didn't know all about the presenting part and all of that. And I went to Fitness Fest and I took Tabata boot camp. And I'm sitting there in this class going, oh my gosh, I could turn this into a business. This is really how this happened. And a month and a half, I was up and running. So that's a long story short. I subleased. So I was in the part of this time. I never, this is just so passionate. I was so passionate about it. And as I began to do more formats, I said, master trainer, why not me? I am of that school of why not me? Growing up in the South.
For sure. Yeah.
And I know what hard work looks like. I'm a hard worker. And I was of that school. I saw these master trainers who were teaching me. I'm like, I like that. I'm an educator by heart, by spirit. And so I became, my first stint was with Tabata Boot Camp. They gave me the opportunity to work for Mindy Milray. And from that, I found Mashup at Fitness Fest. Fitness Fest is like the opportunity conference because so much has happened. Yeah. I met people through there. And so that brought me to Mashup. And I have my own studio. I actually just closed my brick and mortar yesterday. I turned in my keys and I'm going on 100% online. But that's just like a fast track because there's so much I can tell you guys. There's so much to say.
I'm sure.
Because there's so much to it. It goes very deep. And
you did it as a kind of transition in your collegiate and high school life, because I know I wasn't an athlete ever until I became a fitness professional. But how you can honor your son and how that's now driven your purpose 1,000%.
Oh gosh.
That he lives in you and what you do with others and what a difference you make in people's lives. Again, you're not just an instructor, you're not just a trainer. You're a human who's mentoring souls that need your presence. So thank you for being there for those people and for meeting me at Fitness Fest.
Oh my gosh. Isn't it so awesome? All the connections.
Yeah. And I think that's amazing that, like I said, that you were once an athlete, but now you're trying to show, and I know you work with children too. So you're showing young folks and older folks and everybody in between that everybody can find their inner athlete, no matter what age they are, no matter what generation you are, because we are, again, being inclusive, that everyone can kind of look at you as an example. Because, one thing I want to bring up is, representation. We talked about this earlier, you and I privately, but I want you to maybe give a little bit of background on maybe, did you have any like examples that you felt were representative of who you were as a human, or did you feel in your soul, like, I want to be that representation for the future generations?
That's a great question, because I actually felt like I want to represent all people, and that all people can, because honestly, you don't see a lot of people that look like me in our industry. And that is something I did experience. So I should have brought that in, because I did see that. You know, I'm being trained, and I am beginning to see more of what it looks like to present and who's presenting. And I definitely want to be a voice, because I know that we aren't well represented, but there's so much people don't know about everybody, the community, the unity, this whole fitness thing is so about community. And if we get that, and diversity, and how we're all so different. And let me really correct that. I wasn't a real athlete. I was a cheerleader.
That's an athlete. I watch Netflix.
It is. Okay, thank you for that. Because that is the kind, I was, sort of. Okay, I'll take that. But
I've never worn a uniform. I've never had a jersey with my name on it. So anybody who has done anything of the spectrum, you're an athlete. And even if not then, you are now.
I did have my little letter jacket I was so proud of. But yeah, okay, I'll take it. But yes, I want to still represent and be a big voice in all communities, so everyone knows that and feels like, oh yes, I can do that too. Because I am of that school of why not me? I don't think I'm special. I think I just jump, and I'm daring, and I don't let others' thoughts processes hold me back. And that's the truth also. You know, I've had people tell me, you can't do that because you're Black. You guys, I hate saying that out loud, but this is a true story of what I've lived. And my mom never defined me by my color, and she told me don't define myself by my color, and so I don't. But I do want to represent, to let people know, yes, you can. We all can. We all deserve to have that light shine that we have to share. And you know, this is such a reciprocal kind of industry, because what we give, we get back. It is so amazing. And that unity, I have this poster, you can't see the whole thing. It says community. That is such a big deal. And the unity part of that is the bigger part, because that is what all of this is about. And when can I give you an example real quick? Okay, so I was in Dubai for Mashup actually last year. And let me just tell you, there was so much diversity. I cannot wait to go back. Everybody was represented. It was bigger than life. You do that workout, and it's about, it's not even about the workout. It's about the challenge of what you're going through together. And then we're all sweating and doing all this together and cheering each other on. And I literally stopped, and we had a talk about diversity, because I'm like, what is this? I had a perception of what Dubai was, and it was so much bigger and so much, it was heartfelt, because there's so much diversity and so much love. It's like, what? Where?
Well, that diversity is all about varieties of humans. I think about it like an amazing ice cream shop with amazing humans. And then inclusion is making sure that those humans belong, that we're not categorized, to your point, by what we are, but by who we are and what our purpose is and what we bring to the table. So I think that's truly vital. And I've never been to Dubai, so maybe one day that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And that will be that way too. So I know that you are going to be presenting at Optima with Mashup, which we're going to dive into in just 2 seconds. But so do you know what day your session is?
My session, oh gosh, I am so sorry. It is definitely on the website, and they do have a schedule for it. I know it's early in the morning, at 7 in the morning, and it might be on Saturday. I'm so sorry that I don't have that date.
I remember I'm on the 13th, but just so you guys know, that Optima is the October 13th or the 16th. You can register at the link below the video, but I'm going to let Jackie describe what Mashup is, and then explain a little bit about what variable intensity interval training is, because we're very familiar with HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training, but I would love to learn more about the varied sense of the word and what Mashup is.
Okay, I'm going to start with this word. Mashup is all about inclusion, and that was what was also cool. So Mashup, the M is for mind body. So that's a low intensity. So that's where this variable intensity comes from. The A and the S are for agility and strength. So then you're going to be working at a medium intensity, more with weight, strength training. And then, of course, you have your HIIT. So really this exercise format is centered around the HIIT. So you have your strength, you have your HIIT, and you have your mind body to kind of what you call an active recovery, to recoup and do it all over again, to really maximize the benefit of the research behind HIIT. There's a lot of times people think HIIT is getting out of breath, but you're really getting out of breath. You're really taxing your body. And so that's where this format really blossoms and really is dynamic, because it allows you to recover, active recovery, begin again, and go back in strong. And so it's really cool. And the inclusive part is this. There are 3 levels for every single exercise. So every exercise that's introduced, there's a level 1. That means that person does not run, jump, or get on the floor. And then level 2 and 3, the intensity increases. Everyone decides where they are. So you don't tell people where they are. You're a coach. So you are, I can be in a room, and I have been in a room, where I have someone who's just new to exercise to that crazy fanatic, and people in between, or people with mild injuries where they don't need a jump because their back hurts. So you're not tied to these levels. So you may be level 3 on one exercise and a level 1 on another exercise. So it's so inclusive. It's so dynamic. You do your own thing. It looks like a mess when you're watching the class because everyone is doing their own thing. That's the benefit. You do you.
Beautiful chaos. Yeah. And I know for myself, I loved HIIT training. I've always loved that intensity or interval training, because for myself, when I was on my weight loss and like health journey, it was something that helped me have more caloric burn, which we can maybe touch on at the end with that epoch in there. But as I kind of, I don't want to say get older, but as my body changes and I embrace where I am in this season of life, impact is something that I have lessened. So can you touch on the impact piece? That a high intensity doesn't necessarily have to mean high impact.
Oh, that's so awesome you say that, because that's right. A level 1 can experience high intensity. And it's how you're moving your body, how you're using that energy. Because sometimes, you know, people think level 1, oh, I go slow. No, level 1 means maybe I cannot jump because I'm an active ager. But I can move my body in such a way that I will get breathless. So that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is a misconception that you have to always do plyo type moves. Absolutely not. And it's about how you use the body, how you use your energy to get that oxygen consumption up. And it works. That
I used to say that my rapper name was EPOC because of that excessive post-exercise oxygen consumption. So how do you explain what EPOC is to somebody who's a student and is just like, I don't care about science. I want you to break it down for me.
Basic layman's terms. Allow your body to be challenged. Get out of breath, get breathless, and then you'll get this recovery period that's not going to be 100% recovery before you go right back in. I would explain that, you know, you only really need 4 minutes. If you look at the true research behind HIIT, 4 minutes of time is enough to establish that epoch effect. And after you're done, guess what? Your body is so jostled up that it's trying to regroup and come back together. So it's as if your body has to use energy, so you're still burning calories to get your body back to that normal state, that homeostasis state. Because you typically, if you really worked it, you will feel it after. It's almost like that runner's high. Yeah. So that's in layman's terms, without talking about the science and getting deep into that. But it really does work. It's very effective. You cannot do it every day. So I wouldn't recommend doing it back to back, because it's so hard on the body. I mean, you really give it your all. Now with Mashup, we have a little, you can do Mashup every day if you choose to change your level. So let's say you're just going out for that cardio versus really trying to get to that HIIT level. So that's an option. It's really a very diverse, very cool, inclusive workout. I love teaching it. And
I know I'm going to have to jump on. I think my session actually might be right after yours. So I'm going to have to maybe jump on for a little segment, shower off, and then go to my session.
Well, I hope you can.
Right afterwards. But Jackie's session is going to be on October 13th from 7:15 to 8:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just so you guys know, we got that information. And then, you know, just to piggyback off of what Jackie just said, I used to explain to people when it comes to, again, high intensity versus high impact. I'm a runner. I love running. It's just a way that I like to do a moving meditation. But when I'm running, I get my heart rate up, it levels off. And then as I cool down, which I should stretch, it calms down and I go back to the rest of my day. But with varied or high intensity training, which is part of Mashup, you have that confusion
Yes.
and your body's like warming up, and then all of a sudden it gets really confused and it has no idea what it's doing. And before you know it, your beautiful workout is done. And then you have that EPOC, which is that excessive post-exercise oxygen consumption after the class. So you're burning during and after. It's like a free gift with purchase, right?
And it definitely is quality over quantity. Because definitely with a HIIT, you can exercise in less time. In fact, Mashup, we have a 15, 30, or 45-minute class. It does not go over 45 minutes because you don't need over 20 minutes of doing HIIT training to get all the benefits. It's amazing.
Can you explain that to me? Because I know I discuss this with kids, and I'm sure you've done this with your youth classes, that, you know, if you look at you say, I want to work out for an hour a day, it's so daunting. You're like, I'm just not going to even do it because it's too much for me to think that I can't accomplish. Can you explain to me how you explain to others that you can break this down?
Well, I try to just give them the benefits of what it means to have a high intensity class versus, you know, like if you go running, a 60-minute steady state is so good for your heart. Your body gives you the oxygen that you need. It's good, and your mind. Oh, exercise is just good for that, right? But your body gives you what you need when you're running. People think they aren't runners, and everyone can run. And I'm going to give you an example of what this high intensity did for me. I have asthma. So my husband's a runner. So he would run down the street or start, and I'd say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'd run down this is where I'm not the athlete, okay? I'd run down the street. I'm like, oh, I can't breathe. I can't do this. Okay, so I decided I was going to start doing some HIIT training. And then when I was doing some HIIT training, man, it was so great. Well, my mother had breast cancer. She'll be 15 years free September 7th, but she had breast cancer. So there's an opportunity to be in the Susan G. Komen 5K. So I don't run. I have friends that run. My daughter runs. I'm like, okay, you guys, I'll run. And, you know, like I said, I would run down the street and say, I can't breathe. Well, now think about this. I've been doing all this HIIT training. And you know, there are these programs that show from couch to 5K. Well, I didn't do any couch to 5K. I did my HIIT training and I was good in those short spurts, very short spurts, sprinting, you know, running bleachers, just short spurts of HIIT. Well, I will tell you, when I did that race, that first race, that was my first 5K. I did it for my mom. I did it for another friend that died of breast cancer. I did not stop. And I know it was because my oxygen consumption got improved from doing these short trainings, not long trainings, not hours and hours of training, short trainings 3 times a week. I could breathe. And I will tell you this is also a reality. There's many, many benefits to HIIT, but I'm telling you, it definitely improves the lungs and your oxygen consumption. And I am a chronic asthma person, so I'm supposed to be on medication, Advair. I don't have to take it hardly ever. That is not normal. But I do HIIT training 3 times a week still. So there is a great benefit. And as you said, I don't always have to jump. I am aging. So I do have to be careful because I want to do this forever. I'm in my, I'm just aging. It's like, wow, it's crazy, the number that I am. And so I do have to accommodate because I'm aging and I want to do this forever without injuries. This HIIT training is it's magic. And
it's a lot for the body in a short amount of time. Just before we kind of keep talking, because we're pretending like nobody's in the room with us, but in case you guys have questions about Jackie's session or anything related to Optimo, please feel free to type in comments if you're watching live. But I know myself, I also have allergen-induced asthma. So when I run, my doctor has even told me, or when I do my HIIT training, that keeps my oxygen consumption levels up versus me just allowing myself to let it plateau and fall off. So reminding folks that are watching this that if you want to learn about varied intensity interval training, that you can do that at Optimo with us. So is your session going to be about teaching folks about teaching it or teaching them about the format to take it, or both?
I'll talk about both. I'll talk a little bit about the benefits of HIIT, and then we will actually get a sample and we'll work out and have fun. So you can experience it. It's nice to experience it hands-on. So that's
needed.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Equipment needed?
Well, for this, no, you don't, because you know, since we're all working from home, you know, I make adjustments all the time. So at this point, we are going to do body weight, and you will see how effective that is. So it's awesome. We'll have the strength training, the agility, to HIIT, to mind body. So that's the order that we actually execute the exercises, because again, it's centered around the HIIT, and you have to have that active recovery to begin to do it again. If you ever see a program that says they have 60 minutes of HIIT, that's not a true HIIT. You can't maintain that level of intensity. It's not good for your body, and you'll do this and right away, and the science won't be there. So,
when I talk about the accumulation of 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, but giving yourself this daunting amount of time of 60 minutes and having to get it in every single day, we as a community can say, okay, let me give myself some grace and do it a little bit at a time, and know that it's doing my aerobic capacity good to work anaerobically little bits at a time.
Yes, that's absolutely right on. And that's what Mashup is all about. It's doing more with less time. That's what people say they don't have, is that time. And this is for everyone. So I had this opportunity to be in an active aging. I was doing a training in an active aging community. They came out 45 people. I had a lady who was in her 80s and said, look, honey, I don't get on the ground. I'm like, guess what? You don't have to. That's at level 1. Then I have these ladies that are like, whoa, how old are they? Because they don't seem like they're active agers. In the same room, if you saw the dynamics of this program, it'll blow your mind. And that lady, I guess she's someone who's sometimes a little skeptic. She came back and said, I love your workout. And when I go to fitness conferences and I have a room full of fit people, you get that same feedback. It's a dynamic workout that's quick, it's fast, it's effective, you have fun, and you're really doing your own thing. It's not about the other person. You absolutely will experience success and really feel good at the end.
I explain to people that inclusion, like I said, making sure everybody belongs means that, yes, you can have a niche as a fitness professional, but having tools in your tool belt to make sure that all humans that you can access can do a workout and feel rewarded and feel accomplished is the key. So let me double check and see if we have a question from somebody. We can go ahead and take a question. So any suggestions, Jackie, to incorporate Mashup into a program for kids?
For kids? Oh, yes. Oh, this can absolutely be done for kids, because it can be done for anyone, because you can adjust your workout according to who your audience is. And so if you have kids, make it fun. There's 5 exercises for each of the modalities. And you do that in a way that allows them to identify and realize, oh, wow, exercise is fun. And make it where they can accomplish it. Make it where the one that just started can feel success. Where that newbie, that one who's so afraid. I teach at a high school, some PE classes, and I have kids that are athletes in the same class and kids that are, oh my gosh, why did I sign up for this class? So I make sure.
Move. They just need to move.
Yeah,
I was that kid. Don't freak me out about sports.
Right? You just need to move. And that's it. That's the key. That is the key. So.
Check out Jackie's session. Again, it's October 13th at 7:15. You can go to NASM Optima to sign up and look at all of the different speakers, all the amazing sessions that we have planned. And when it comes to kids, just make sure that you are well equipped to understand that the children population. This is just my little public service announcement for children about their sweat rate, hydration. But being that this is body weight, what I love is that you can be portable, you can be mobile. This can be done inside, outside, and give everybody a chance to work out in the level that works best for them and their lane.
Yes. And honestly, with Mashup, you can do body weight, but you can do any kind of equipment that you want. So it's very diverse in that aspect as well. So I just, being virtual, you don't know what people have. So a lot of times we are doing body weight. But a lot of people have dumbbells too, but there is a little shortage.
I want everybody to stay connected with Jackie. I'm going to allow you, as we finish this, and if you want to go in the comments and type in your social media handles for those that haven't been able to get it, or if you want to tell it to us, I think you have your website right behind you, that they can stay connected with you and join your session for Optima. What is your Instagram?
My Instagram is C, now spell this Jacquese, C Jacquese. And you can kind of see it right behind me. That's Jacquese right there. C Jacquese. Okay, a C and Jacquese.
Take Jackie's, I call her Jackie. Take Jackie's session And if you guys have any questions, just make sure you put them in the comments. We're going to have this posted on Instagram as well. But I just want to say thank you to Jackie for taking the time to chat with me here on this beautiful Wednesday morning here in California, at least. I know it's hot there.
Yes, it is very hot. Thank
And
you.
for more content, and we're glad to have you at our Optima session. Make sure you guys sign up, and we will see you in October.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about diversity and mashup.